A lot of work has gone into the memoir at this point, and we realize, okay, we have a real story here. It's time to think about the next step, and that is publishing. Introducing the query letter. I didn't know anything about how to go about getting a book published, so I'm gonna try and break that down for you a little bit here too. This is very much a 101. I actually created a whole separate video on how to write a query letter, so if you're interested in that, check that out. I'm gonna do a high-level overview of the process. But for a little bit of context, a query letter is basically a pitch that you write explaining your book and talking about its value. And you send it to potential editors and publishing houses who, if they like it enough, will continue the process with you. In my mind, a book wasn't really a book unless it was published traditionally through a publishing house. So I really wanted to get this query letter writing process down properly. I used an amazing tool called Query Tracker, which basically has this extended catalog of all the agents, their specializations, so what kind of material they typically represent, and whether they're open for submissions or not, where they're located, and a bunch of different kind of filters that you can choose. And that gave me access immediately to over 200 relevant agents who were looking for something like a memoir like I was working on with my client. Now, Query Tracker had its own process. You could kind of send letters directly through it, but also sometimes agents would request things by email. So to keep track of it all, I created this kind of massive Excel sheet with a whole bunch of columns, including things like name of publisher, company they worked for, whether it was appropriate to send more than one publisher at that company a letter, who that second publisher might be if I didn't hear back in a certain time frame, the date that I initially reached out, when I should try and follow up. You can imagine it gets quite complicated. And after I had written my letter and felt satisfied with it, I just went about sending out those query letters. Now, I've been talking about myself a lot in this process, and at this point, I was honestly exhausted. I thought I had signed up to write a book, and here I was basically sending out a million emails to people I didn't know. It was really overwhelming, and I felt like this weight on me of needing to get it done in a certain time frame. And that's when I learned the value of asking for help. My partner really saw that I was struggling, and he asked if there was anything he could do. Now, in the writing process, it probably wouldn't make sense for him to write any of the story for me. That's my job. But he could certainly help me speed up the process of emailing all of these publishers that I had already identified. And his help was invaluable. And I really needed that boost to say, you know, I'm not alone. It's not just me in the world working on this project. And we got out letters to almost 200 agents, actually. The results, I'm sure you want to know. Enter a whole lot of waiting and a whole lot of rejections. I will say though, compared to job interviews, school applications, these were probably some of the nicest rejections I ever got. So I'll share some of them with you. This is not the type of book I'm considering at this time. Please remember, this is just my opinion. Keep trying. I think your purposes are very solid. This is just a tough sell for me. But your writing is affecting and your client's story is very poignant. I was like, whoa, that was a really nice thing to say. Someone thinks my writing is affecting. What is affecting? And then the email that changed everything, or that I at least thought changed everything. Thank you for getting in touch with us about your work. Would you be happy to send us over the first 50 pages? And I wonder if you might have a synopsis of the book we could read too. Someone wanted more. This was a publishing house in London, England, and I thought I had struck gold. I called my client, jumping for joy on the phone, and he maintained his composure, saying, Adina, this is amazing. We've got to see what happens next. I'm sure you're wondering too.